So we are here overlooking King Street West of the Toronto International Film Festival. And here at Daily Xtra, we have Gillian Armstrong, the director of Women He's Undressed, a wonderful documentary about Orry-Kelly, a costume designer that deserves a lot more of a legendary status than he has, as far as I'm concerned, and I'm sure you as well.
Yes, no, absolutely. And I've got to confess, I didn't even know who Orry was when my producer came to me and asked me would I be interested in doing a documentary about him. So I have complete shame because he's from my country.
You say nobody knows who he is? Who doesn't know who he is? Orry-Kelly was one of the greatest costume designers of all time.
One of the most fascinating things about Orry is that he was basically openly gay. Throughout all of this, it was incredibly taboo at that time. Was there anything that sort of surprised you when you started doing research to learn about sort of how he presented his sexuality in 1950s, 1940s Hollywood?
Well, the thing that was interesting, well, two things. One was how open actually Hollywood was in its very early days. And then once the code came in the 30s, how, I mean, not only were this sort of set of rules for how people should behave on the screen, and so basically gay and lesbian characters were written out. They were to not appear in Hollywood films again. But also, it really affected the lives of the stars.
If he was with some people who wanted to say something he said, he didn't hold back.
There was an unspoken rule: you could not mess with stardom.
You know, in a finger snap, they're living together. Paramount had a fit.
The great mystery is, with whom was it?
Oh, another highlight of this film, and I was aware of the rumors, but the film quite explicitly notes that Orry had a relationship with Cary Grant, a romantic one, and that Cary Grant went so far as to block a memoir that I'd really like to read, which is Orry's memoir. Can you talk a little bit about the inclusion of Cary Grant in the story, and if you were resistant to be so explicit in the way that you talk about it?
What we found out, of course, that Orry and Cary had this incredible friendship. They actually shared an apartment in Greenwich Village for 9 years. So the thing that's interesting in their stories is whether or not they were lovers, and definitely, I met the famous Scotty Bowers, who's in the film, who said, absolutely, and it shouldn't matter. But the sad thing is, I think it still matters. I think that male and female stars, yes, there's been huge changes. Many people now have come out, and it's not illegal to be gay as it was then, but it's still considered that it affects your career.
And I mean, Orry is a testament to the opposite of that, of doing something very pioneering and being himself. And even today in Hollywood, unfortunately, as you said, there's still a celluloid closet, and hopefully more people look to Orry as an example.
Yes.
He was young and wild and fun.
He was who he was. He never made excuses.
After Kelly had been fired, Betty Davis insisted that he be brought back.
Why not?
He had such astonishing imagination.
All his genius was on display in Some Like It Hot. You could not take your eyes off her breasts.
I was pretty awed by Orry.